Warm-up time's done.
May I call you Abstract?
Of course.
Okay, you got it. I've been
Yeah.
calling you unconsensually Abstract, and I'm like, oh, maybe he doesn't like that.
No, actually, I do like that because
Really?
my full name goes to becomes Abstract the Origin, but people can call me Abstract for short. I'm kind of like Prince. I don't like exactly. I don't like being like called by my real name all the time because it's kind of boring. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm just Abstract. So that's what people know me as. I go by that.
Oh my God, I know what you mean. My name is David, and I don't know. There's just like everyone's name is David, so like I'm like it's just like an identification tool at this point. I'm like, you can call me Biff, you can call me Triple Cup, and you can call me David too, of course. But if you call me David, like 5 people are gonna turn their heads and be like, "Are you talking to me?"
We're like, oh, which one?
I know.
Yeah. Me, for me, it's kind of more because I have an IT background. I've studied IT security to a certain degree.
Nice.
And even though like you can't take everything private on the internet, you know what I'm saying? I still kind of want to make it hard for people to figure out who I am.
Yeah.
Though, if you know where to look, you'll figure me out. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
For the most part, I want to make people work for it.
All right, yeah. So I guess I have like 1,000 questions now, but I guess we'll just start with tell us a little bit about Abstract the Origin. I know you're a producer, you're an engineer, you're a performer, you're a musician. So tell us all about you and the work you do.
Well, yeah, exactly. I produce music. I do sound engineering. I'm learning a little bit of sound design. I've been doing all this since around 2006, kind of in the background. I've been posting stuff around since that time, but I never tried to like bring any attention to it or get people to look at it actively. So I've always treated it as kind of like a fun hobby. I've always loved music ever since I was a kid. Some of the first records I listened to was like the Isley Brothers. My dad always playing Footsteps in the Dark. That's one of my favorite tracks of all time. And of course, Ice Cube flipped that for Today Was a Good Day. So love that track. And yeah, just like music's always been a part of my life. I mean, some of the first, I'm a big hip hop head and I love hip hop. I haven't listened to everything out there. It's the zeitgeist of hip hop is so huge. And I want to listen to everything, but I really got started listening to Nujabes. But the very first types of music I got started listening to was alternative rock, like Matchbox 20,
nice.
Goo Goo Dolls, things like that. So that was like my earliest musical what was kind of my identity for music.
Nice. It's so cool. I found out we were kind of like the same age, and so I was kind of like, when you said 2006, I was like trying to match like where was I in 2006? And like I do music now, and I've always played like an instrument, but I did not know what I wanted to do in 2006. I was all over the place, and I definitely didn't really like. I kind of like thought about music, but I definitely didn't have this drive that you were talking about. Yeah.
Well, and neither did I, to be quite honest. Like for me, like I said, I treated all this as kind of like a fun little hobby that I can express myself through, right? But around that time, I was freshly out of high school, didn't know what I really wanted to do. I tried going into game design at DeVry University.
Wow.
That didn't pan out because, well, DeVry University. And I just found myself working at a movie theater for like $6.25 an hour, and I was
nice.
like, and it gave me some cash, it gave me some money, but at the same time, it wasn't a whole lot, and I was still living with my parents. So unfortunately, you kind of do like all the young other kids do these days, and they pirate shit. So. That's not, I don't do that anymore, but, because now it's like, yeah, I have a job and I'm a grown up now, I'm a full grown up.
Right.
I pay for my things now, but, back then when I had like very little resources to work with and I really wanted to do something, I couldn't get a trap set. I'm a drummer naturally. I couldn't get a trap set to continue that path. Too expensive and I couldn't fit in my room.
Right.
So I just fiddled around with FL Studio and, got all these plugins. I didn't like pirate plugins a whole lot. There's like a whole bunch of free plugins on the internet, especially like Magical 8-Bit from YMCK.
Yeah.
What else? FamiSynth. I'm forgetting the creator's name right now, but things like that. I've been just using those tools to build stuff ever since.
Yeah. I think it's so cool. What you were telling me, like, I like see in something in you that I kind of have in me, but not like in the same way as you, is like drive and like self. What's the verb for self-taught? Like self. Well, like
Like self-motivation or something
yeah,
like that.
self-motivation. And so I think that's amazing. And like I'll always kind of question the validity of like a university. Not, I love education, but like it feels like kind of a ripoff kind of. So I guess, yeah. What would be like how do I phrase this question? I wrote it down. Hold on one second.
Take your time, man.
I'll edit this. Tell me about your journey and your drive to reach these goals. And also, okay. So let me start with a full sentence so I can edit this. So something you told me in our previous chats was that you were self-taught producer, composer, engineer, performer. So tell me about your journey and your drive to reach these goals. And also, what do you think you might know that someone who went to all these classes to reach the same goals as you might not know, if that makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think I never really had a goal or like any like grander scheme of where I wanted to go, right? I just kind of learn things by necessity. I'm very much like I learn things if I need to learn it. You know what I'm saying? I need to learn how to compose this track. How do I put things together to make it sound like music? So I looked up YouTube tutorials, the FL Studio manual, and really kind of figured out how can I use the piano roll to my advantage, things like that. And of course, I knew zero music theory back then, but that wasn't the point. The point was, how can I create something that sounds close to what I think is music and what everybody else could think is music that I could, what I got. And as far as like things that I've learned that possibly like somebody that's in school might not learn is trusting the process. Sometimes I see a lot of people kind of like they don't want to kind of struggle with what they're doing, and Lord knows I struggled with everything. But through those struggles, it really like hammered home, okay, this is the best way for me to do this, get the results a little bit faster, and it's just been compiling and building ever since then.
Right. And if you're kind of like your own North Star, like how did video game sounds, how did that kind of incorporate with Abstract the Origin?
Well, I first got my taste of chiptune music. Of course, like everybody listens to video game music from back in the 80s and the 90s, right? It was chiptunes then with your favorite video games. Blaster Master is one of my favorite all-time games, of course. But I never really understood, like, wow, I could actually like compose real songs with chip sounds until I listened to Anamanaguchi, actually.
That's so funny. Yeah.
And the way that they kind of blended, real instruments with chiptune sounds, I was like, wow, I've never heard anything like this. Around 2006, I think it was Power Supply was their
Nice
debut little EP, and I listened to that particular album religiously, along with everything from Nujabes, because I was also getting into hip hop around that time. Nujabes was my gateway into hip hop, and I guess it was also a gateway for a lot of people to lo-fi hip hop, even though to me it's just hip hop. I mean, the lo-fi aesthetic is just part of the limitations that you had with the gear you had. It's not. I don't see it as a genre. I just see it all as hip hop to me.
Right. I love that you said Anamanaguchi. It's like that was what really like clicked me too. I like it was the Scott Pilgrim soundtrack, and I was like, oh my gosh, video game music, and I was just like, Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I went through this whole process where like I thought I was the only one in the room. I was like, I think there might be something to video game music. I really need to like ticket this. And then
Yeah.
like of course I'm like the last one in the room as I do more research. I'm like, oh, everyone's been doing this.
Right. Yeah. I've been, like I said, I've been living under a rock for like forever. You know, I've been releasing projects, like full on projects since I think around 2010, 2011, like posting it to SoundCloud, I should say.
Yeah.
I remember actually I started posting music to, there's a website called, I think it was called SoundClick. Yeah, I think it was SoundClick. I was posting projects there first, but then when SoundCloud came onto the scene, I was like, huh, SoundCloud seems better than SoundClick. Bye bye SoundClick, and then I started posting stuff over there on SoundCloud instead.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, I've actually gone through many different monikers until I finally, within the last 2-3 years, settled on Abstract the Origin.
I think you're snowballing. Like you're really like I see you growing a lot. But do you prefer anonymity? Oh, excuse me, anonymity. Being anonymous. Yeah, there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
So do you prefer that, and like what are the benefits of that in being a musician?
It's not that I prefer anonymity more so than I prefer like just peace.
Hmm.
But I also understand that putting things out into the ether for other people to listen to and react to won't always give me that peace. But I just don't want to run in those situations where it's like some dude's coming outside my home at like 3 a.m. trying to holler at me, and I'm like, this ain't the time, bro. Go home. Where else right now? Like you hear all those things about like content creators where people stalk them and figure out where they
Oh
live.
yeah, yeah.
I actually have a PO box already set up because I had to when I first uploaded my first commercial album, The Bitscape. I actually registered that with the U.S. Copyright Office.
Nice.
Yeah, and I went ahead and though because also that process is, I was like, I'll go back and do the rest later and just keep on uploading stuff. But even that, like, that's attached to a PO box. So if somebody wants to look up that record, you can't find out exactly where I live.
Yeah. Do you have like is this kind of like just like worry, or is there like an experience that kind of brought you towards that?
No experience. It's just more or less, I'm very big. I don't talk a lot outside of like little things like this. I'm very much a listener. I like to listen, look, and then kind of move trajectory based off of what I'm looking at and what I'm researching on. So, like I said, I've been watching all these content creators over the years do their thing. And, over the past 10 years, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff, right? Especially a lot of my favorite content creators just go through ups and downs with their fan base, just kind of not knowing where boundaries are. So I appreciate everybody that listens to my music, and I appreciate all fans of my music. But at the same time, it's like let's meet at like designated places. Don't come to my house. Like let's meet up in some mutual places. I would love to interact and chat it up with people, but let's do it away from my house, my
Right.
sanctuary.
Right. Do you kind of like something that like we have in Boston, of course, is the Boston 8-bit, which people will be seeing this interview on Sunday and seeing your video as well on the Boston 8-bit showcase. So we have like a little community here and like a culture, but I don't know. I know of Decaying Tigers, who's a chiptune band from Vegas, and I know you, but I'm not so sure I really know too much about like a chiptune Vegas scene. Is that a thing?
I don't think it's a thing, but to be quite honest, I actively have not been pursuing music in this particular scene.
Right.
Mainly because I feel like, sure, you can definitely like build up a local thing, right, and get some momentum behind that, but you can also get that same momentum on the internet, and
Right.
the internet is so far reaching. I talk to people not only from the United States all the time, but I got a friend over in Kuwait. I'm actually part of a hip hop collective called BSC as well.
Oh yeah, I saw
Um,
that. Yeah.
yeah, and we have members from Kuwait, Indonesia, and Japan. And I talk to all these people all the time. So like to me, I want to, if I'm going to do something with this music, I want to do something a little bit bigger than just my backyard. And also, unfortunately, recently, there was a producer that kind of ran his mouth about Breonna Taylor, and I don't want to be anywhere near associated with this place because of that guy.
Wow, that's crazy. I did not hear anything about that. Yeah,
Yeah, if you look around the internet, you'll find out who it is.
dang.
That's all
It's
I'll say
yeah.
about it.
It's like it's scary being associated with people like you see like if my group like we're trying to like flirt with a label and
Mhm.
like oh you're like starting to get things ready and then you find out like oh the labels like originator turned out to be like
Kind
uh
of scumbag.
yeah, a scumbag and like he's got these charges against him and it's like why would I want to associate myself with anybody? Like I'm just like
Right.
you know what I mean? I don't know.
Like to me, I'll say it like this: nobody's hands is fully clean of everything, right?
Right, true.
Especially not even my own. But I will say that it's all about how you carry yourself and what are your actions that you're doing to correct those issues. The problem that I see with, and I'll drop this name with the whole entire Game Chops thing, is the fact that the founder could have gone ahead and instead of making a Twitter post that went ahead and said, hey, if you feel like I caused an issue to you, you just please let me know right here. How about you just go ahead and go out to that person directly and talk to them?
Right.
And if you tried to talk to them and all that interaction did was get you blocked, maybe you should think about how you approach that person. Yeah, I'm very much of the mindset of, excuse me, a little bit of indigestion. I'm very much, I'm very much of the mindset of like, nothing is past you. You know what I'm saying? You own what you do and how you carry yourself. And I look at the bad behavior of all these people and I just learn off of that.
Right, right. I really think that too, and I you know I'm sure if like you examine me, I'm actually like a really bad person, but like I try and like learn from all these bad cases too, and I incorporate it in my music and like any platform that I may or may not have. Do you incorporate like any of that into your work?
Not really. I mean, all my work is largely personal. Like my work has secret stories in them because they're largely instrumentals, right?
Right.
And with an instrumental, the interpretation of the story can be whatever it can be, right? But some of them are a little bit more overt, like like one of my other projects, Light X Shadow. It's a pretty straightforward story on that. You got a samurai, you got a ninja, and they're both carrying out their own tasks until the task that they're both tasked with meets them in the middle, and essentially a conflict brews because of that. So someone's got to complete the task, right? And the only way to get it done is one of them has to die. And that's why
Yeah. Oh
that's
dang.
that's why it really leads me to Samurai versus Ninja, one the last track and my most infamous track for me because I have like a nice little BPM change up near the end, and I
Oh
finger drum.
nice.
I kick
Whoa.
myself every time I like every time I perform that live. My heart rate goes like to like 180 or something like that when I'm singing that song, and it's like, damn, why did I compose this track like this? I mean, it sounded cool, but damn. But yeah, I really enjoy performing that track. It's a lot of fun.
So what went into that content? Like, yeah, what went into that content when you were creating it?
When I was creating it, it actually kind of came up serendipitously. It's like, I was experimenting with because okay, let's go back to the lo-fi thing, right?
Okay.
So lo-fi hip hop is a very popular thing right now, right? And I was wondering, like, okay, what would a lo-fi hip hop aesthetic sound like with some chip tunes and a little bit more action music-y stuff? You know what I'm
Nice.
saying?
Yeah.
Because like that particular project is pretty action heavy. You got Samurai's Task, which is like very, I should say, what's a good word for it? It's very like bold. It's out there. It's in your face. Whereas for the track for the ninja, that track is a lot more sneaky, kind of low tone stuff, and very covert. And then you got Samurai versus Ninja, where that track is just explosive, and you got this kind of like cat and mouse type of game going on here
Nice.
between the verses and such. And then, like I said, that change up near the end is where the battle gets more intense, and they start striking at each other faster and faster and faster until one of them gets cut down. And who got cut down? I'll let you guys decide that one.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so let's see what else I got here. Oh, tell me about your game.
Yes. So I'm also developing a video game by the name of Eden Gamma. It's based on a cyberpunk future, and essentially I made sure to not date exactly when this game takes place on purpose, because I you've seen in the movies all the time where a movie back in the 80s says in the year 2017. It's like we passed 2017. Where's my hoverboards? Where's my freaking self-laced sneakers? Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But they cost like $100,000. The self-laced sneakers was everywhere. So I made the game's story takes place far flung into the future, where the United States has kind of gone to hell a little bit. You got politicians that actively fight each other in the streets.
Wow.
For supremacy. And you take control of this character. His name is Maxim, and he's a private detective. And the whole entire story is pretty much you have a friend who's you're an ex-cop. He's still with the force. He's been investigating a bigger conspiracy behind the corporation, and he disappears, and you're tasked to find him. And the game plays out kind of like it's very much like Mega Man, except I'm making this more action oriented, where the focus is shooting bad guys, traversing environments, finding some secrets here and there. But you got like 7 different guns and different upgrades that I'm planning. And yeah, it's just I'm making it very focused on action.
Yeah. Something we were kind of talking about before this interview was the vision of like and the appreciation for games that kind of link people together. And then you had also said that some games feel really corporate right now, and you lose a little bit of that connection through like corporate games. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about these ideas in context of your game.
Certainly. So, and to expound a little bit more on the corporate feeling, right, is like, for me, it's more about the soul of a video game. A lot of these corporate-made video games that are released on a yearly schedule, again, Call of Duty is a great example of this, where when you talk about the player base, it does a great job of bringing the player base together, but it's kind of doing it through, I would say, kind of shady means. The whole entire microtransactions that were in the previous entries, I think in Warzone, finally, they're not leaning so hard on that as they used to. But I can see these corporations just coming up with another scheme, not to bring people together, but more or less like, how can I fleece these people for as much money as I can with doing the littlest amount of work possible?
Right.
For me, I want to really focus on bringing soul back to video games. And to be quite honest, the indie scene, outside of some, trash kind of like repurpose of bought assets and crap, there's a lot of great games like, what was it? Treachery and Beatdown City. That's a great little, side-scrolling mixture between a turn-based RPG and a side-scrolling beat-em-up. The new Battletoads game isn't too bad either. I like
Battletoads game. What do you mean? What new Battletoads?
Yeah, there's a new Battletoads game out.
What? No,
yeah.
Not? Are you serious?
Yeah. It was made by Delilah Studios, I believe, and Rare helped with some of it. And they took a cartooning Saturday, like 90s Saturday cartoon aesthetic with it. It's actually pretty enjoyable to me. They made the Toads is very over the top, and I haven't gotten past the first level just yet because even this is hard on normal for me. Like it's pretty difficult. But
Well, then they're
I
staying true to Battletoads. Battletoads is very hard.
yes, and I did like that in the very first level they started with the music of the pause screen. That pause screen music was like everything.
Right.
Like
Yeah, that's exactly it. That was like the,
I
oh
had
my
a smile
God.
on my face when that happens. Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's what I want to focus back on, to bringing like video games to be video games. Well, I will never lean on microtransactions, to get something across. If I do like an expanded, like if I do like downloadable content, I'm going to try my best to make sure that it's worth the money that I'm charging for it. Because downloadable content is nothing more than just an expanded idea of just expansion packs from way back when, with like the GTA games or Command and Conquer, things like that, with
Yeah.
old games, or even Neverwinter Nights and all those expansions.
Yeah.
That to me is just, that was the child phase of DLC instead of this kind of, and I hate to say it, bastardization of DLC, where it's like, oh yeah, we got DLC, you can get these skins. You want these skins for $1? We can give that to you. It's cool. But that's just my personal preference. At the end of the day, it's capitalism, right?
Yeah.
People are gonna get money however they want to get money.
I fall victim to that because I'm a huge League of Legends player, and I gotta have every skin. Yeah, I definitely fall victim to that.
And yeah, like there's no issue with that. I mean, if you got the money to spend for it and you really like it, then go ahead, support it. But you just and I feel like and sometimes like there's a lot of media out here that it's hard for me to kind of enjoy it, because almost every piece of media that I've touched has something wrong with it in some sort of degree, and it's almost like, man, how is there anything clean? I don't think there really is anything clean that we can really enjoy without kind of going back to, oh crap, this person that was attached to this project that I really like really tanked this project with kind of their comments and crap.
Right. So what I'm kind of hearing from you is like, now correct me if what I'm saying is inaccurate, but what I'm hearing is like, you're not in it for the fame, you're not in it for like, I mean, money's fine, but like you're not in it for like huge riches. Maybe not necessarily even like exposure. So what is art to you? Like, what do you think?
For art to me is just expression, but of course I would love to be able to make a living off of it. I don't want to be rich. I never have that desire, because look at all the rich people that are out here. They got more money than sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And to me, I just want to live comfortably off of what I do, and if I can do that through making this video game be popular, and build that, because ultimately what I want to do is I want to build my own studio, my own video game studio, and employ people to do work and pay them the wage that they're supposed to work. And if we need to do crunch time or something like that, that's something we need to all collectively agree on, not just kind of mandatory corporate overlord saying, well, you got to do this. And I want people to be able to live their lives, because I've seen how that stuff goes, man, and it's not great.
Yeah. So when like people start getting involved with greed and like maybe out of control capitalism, what do they lose when they are kind of incorporating these things, do you think?
I think, like I said, they lose their soul. They literally lose the bottom of their soul when they go ahead and focus way too much on how can we fleece all these people for as much money as they can instead of delivering a great entertaining product, and definitely games are art. They are absolutely art, first and foremost, because look, it is the only medium where it's such a amalgamation of all these different what do you call it, all these different types of not just genres, but just different pieces and elements of art, from music to graphics and even code. Code is an art, that's somebody's personal thought process of trying to get things to mechanically work and putting all that together into a cohesive package. That is absolutely art. And I feel like we're forgetting that to a certain degree. Sure, you know, we all need to make money. We all need to make a living off of this. But I think we need to focus on making entertaining stories or making entertaining games first, instead of, okay, what's kind of the hook that we keep them in here to continuously running the circle of that that hamster wheel, so it
Right.
makes them feel like they're getting progression, yet we're keeping them right there at the same place and not really doing much with them. Like Chrono Trigger is one of my favorite games of all time, one of my favorite JRPGs of all time, because I felt like I was always progressing forward in the story in the game. I didn't feel like I was on some hamster wheel, unless you count New Game Plus, where you go right back to the beginning and then you start the cycle over again. But even like with that, there's like a sense of progression. There's a sense of kind of wonder, you know, of like, oh, well, what's this next thing I'm gonna do? You know, what's this
Right.
next thing I'm gonna find?
Right. Um, what something else you do is you're composing music for a game right now. So I was kind of wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that, and like tell us a little bit about writing music for games versus writing music for Abstract the Origin.
Right, right. So there's a game coming out very soon. We're aiming for, well, Jay Monius, the developer of the game, he's the main developer, and I help as sub developer, and I'm the music composer. We're going to be releasing it very soon, very soon. I would say within the next couple of weeks. Don't know exactly when, but we'll keep you guys posted. People should wish list the game. It's called Arcanian Tales of Magi, and essentially it's a side-scrolling action game, very much in the frame of like a Mega Man style game, where you control Magi, who is part of the leaders. You're part of Arcanian Abbey, and essentially you're tasked by your headmaster to figure out a mystery on the island that you're at, because there's this hooded, mysterious guy who can wield these aura powers, and he stole a very important artifact called the Dark Tome from the Abbey, and now you're tasked to find where he's at and get the tome back. And it's played out in a very Mega Man style, but you're always like earning more power ups and things to progress the journey.
Nice.
But yeah, for the game itself, like the difference between like making music for this game and making music for myself is, like I said, the music typically, when I make it for myself, I take a very abstract approach to it. There's never like a really strong guiding theme throughout all of it. It's kind of like little vignettes into an album. Whereas with this, there's obviously I had to compose for the areas to get them to get the feel for the area. I think I sent you the opening stage music the other day, and that was, of course, like the tutorial stage. So it's like, okay, how can I compose something that's very bouncy, very energetic, and kind of like get you really pumped for the journey? And I just had to shift my mindset away from abstractly thinking about a piece of music as I'm composing it versus, okay, here's a clear goal that I have to make. How can I make this goal?
Yeah. But what do you think, not but, and what do you think, like, links you between music for Abstract the Origin and then composing music for a game? Like, how would I know that, like, if I was playing this game and I was like, oh, that's Abstract the Origin, I know because this is like his signature. So, like, what links those two, do you think, for you?
I think my best quality, I think, is the drums. Like, I'm very much like that. I'm a drummer. I'm always in the drum programming. I'm always doing for all my tracks is always driving the track forward. In some cases, in some songs, I'll have to take the drums away in order to make more emphasis on the melodic elements of the track. So I would say that the things that link Abstract the Origin as a composer for games versus his own personal projects is the fact that it's drums and melodic elements, just trying to keep those particular elements very strong. I mean, in the opening stage theme, for example, you definitely heard like the it's like that rolling drum track, because it keeps you moving forward.
That's so true. And Like I was telling you, like I really feel like you have your own lane because you make finger drumming like look so cool. Like people will see in the video that you submitted and any of the work that people should be checking out. So tell us a little bit about like kind of your focus on finger drumming and how you like showcase that.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I got into finger drumming because like I had a goal to meet here where it's like how can I get how can I become more musically inclined and really kind of flex more of that musician mindset. But I can't get a trap set. It's too loud for an apartment complex. And I got no space for it. So here comes I'm looking on YouTube at all over the place and I come across David Haynes trying to look up Akai gear and I come across him finger drumming. And my God, the way that he finger drums, 'cause he's also a drummer too. He makes like anything he can do on a trap set, he can do on an Akai 16 pad. Yeah, and it's the way he does. He's just so freaking fast and got all these fills and stuff. Like he is absolutely a pro. And I got started in the finger drum because of him. And like I said, the goal was how can I get more musicality? How can I get more expression into my music, especially with the drums? And I started picking up finger drumming and learned how to just do basic stuff again. I essentially had to relearn how to play drums because it's been like years that I played on a trap set as well. So it was a very fun little thing, and I've been doing it for like the past 2 years now. And I definitely am not like I'm not like the most proficient at it, but I'm always learning and I'm always practicing and improving my style.
I think you're amazing. That's my personal opinion. But
I appreciate that, man.
But when like when you say expression, so like coming from me, so like I play violin, so I'm thinking like expression like melody and like vibrato and tone. But when you say expression, like how do you translate that into percussion and into finger drumming?
Well, like let's take a look at drum machines, right? Drum machines typically when you go ahead and program drums through them, they don't have a lot of velocity. They don't have a lot of timbre. They don't have a lot of differentiating sounds in between them. It's kind of like very static. With finger drumming, because of how Akai pads and machine pads work and how MIDI works, you have, of course, 127 degrees of velocity. And I think with MIDI Plus, they're like making that infinite in the future. But, with that in mind, I can make the drums sound a lot more realistic, a lot more I can make it sound a lot more realistic, a lot more like it wasn't programmed on a drum machine. It was actually done live by somebody in some sort of way. The entirety of Light X Shadow, that EP, was all finger drumming those tracks. I put together like a basic drum track to kind of like get the feel of it. Then I would take that out after I kind of build the rest of the song, and then I would finger drum over that track live. And what you're hearing in all those songs is like my finger drumming, the last part of that put on top.
Yeah. Would you say, because you said that you did play drums as well in school, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in middle school.
So I don't know if you can harness your middle school self, but what what is the difference between, maybe not what's the difference, but how can you connect those two, like the drum set and the drum finger machine?
How can I connect those? So like I look at a drum set like, okay, there's a purpose to the drum set, right? Go ahead and have the drummer just control the rhythm for the entire thing. That's the link between finger drumming and being a real drummer. But of course, finger drumming is a lot cheaper than a real drum, because with real drums, you gotta make sure your snares are tuned, the kicks are tuned. You gotta make sure that your cymbals aren't beat to shit. Toms, there's a lot of upkeep with that, right? Whereas on 16 pad sampler, I just get kicks. I get all these samples already pre-played, pre-recorded, put into this. Some people could argue that you're not being a real drummer because you're playing somebody else's samples on it, but I'd have to disagree because there's still the timbre, there's still the velocity differences, and of course your own natural timing that differentiates and is signature of your own performance, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. Okay, I'll pull a 180 on you. So, so one thing you were kind of saying earlier, you were kind of brought up like contacts in like internationally, like, and one thing that we were kind of talking about is during quarantine, it's been really cool because for me, I kind of almost gave up on the chiptune scene, not the chiptune genre, but like the chiptune scene. And then when quarantine happened, I kind of started using Twitter more. And I got to meet all these new people. And then all these events happened where kind of a bit of chiptune became kind of like a louder voice. And I got to meet all these new people through a bit of chiptune, including you. They so, and you had told me that Cyanide Dancing from Paris, a Parisian, maybe not Paris. Is it Paris? Well, France, definitely.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know. Sorry. Maybe she's in chat and she can correct. But she had actually reached out to you. So I don't really necessarily have a question, but like if you could respond about like internationalism, Cyanide Dancing, a bit of chiptune, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like it was really surreal for her to invite me to it, and I'm still profusely grateful for the opportunity and that she provided me, and I will ever be forever grateful. And everybody should really check out her music. First and foremost, go to Bandcamp, go buy it. I bought it. Everybody else should be buying it. So, her music is amazing, and you know, I kind of got more entwined into the scene a little bit as I was kind of looking at people like Chipsel, and you know, I was looking at, oh wow, there's actually a presence in chiptune here, and like cursory over the years, I've seen like chiptune equals win here and there in like little releases here and there, but of course I never looked deeper into it. But it was only like this year where I was like, okay, let's crawl from underneath my little rock here and figure out what's the error, what does it look like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a whirlwind event for me, you know. Cyanide went ahead and invited me to play for a bit of chiptune. And, you know, Cass, Cuddleflish, shout out to Cass as well. She organized this event beautifully, you know, between Flippine, Pulsar, everybody organized this very well. And internationalism and overall, I think that thanks to the internet, we can all collaborate from different spots, you know, because that's the thing that kind of sucks, right? Is like before the internet, you were kind of, if you were kind of the outcast of the town or the outcast of the city, you didn't really have a lot of people that you could like interact with or could share like similar experiences with. But now, thanks to the internet, you can meet people from all over the world that actually, you know, share the same values as you, or even they operate in the same circles as you do. And you can definitely like come together as a coalition and just really make something special here, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'm truly grateful about the internet is that particular ability to just connect with people all across the world, wherever you're at. Of course, you know, pesky time zones always get in the way, but but you know, we fight, we overcome, and we make it work.
Yeah. Something I really liked you said, now maybe there's no weight to this, so tell me if like this is just but like you had said that Cyanide Dancing like reached out to you and invited you in, and like before quarantine and a bit of chiptune, it seemed like there were these establishments that were kind of like glowing lights and you were supposed to go towards them, and they didn't necessarily like invite you in. There wasn't necessarily like an invitation like that, so I didn't know if you had anything on that.
Yeah, I mean, like I never really knew about Materia Collective or Game Chops or even Chiptune Equal Win. Like I've seen Chiptune Equal Win cursory in like my peripherals here and there over the years, but I never really knew anything about those guys until recently when I came out and, you know, I started again performing for a bit of chiptune and talking with Cyanide and other people. So I never really had the desire to like particularly go toward the lights per se, but you know, I definitely wanted to do more than what I was doing, and definitely wanted to be recognized, but nobody really recognized me from those outlets anyway. And I've been posting things for years to SoundCloud, but that also could fall onto me in regards to like, okay, maybe I just didn't market myself enough, or I didn't use the right hashtags. I'm 30. I'm like 32, turning 33. When I saw hashtags coming up around like 2010, I was like, what? What the hashtag? Okay, I'm not dealing with this. This sounds like too much. But that was back when I wasn't. I didn't develop the maturity enough in order to really understand how to really market myself, how to really put myself out there, and how to utilize tools. Now, as I've gotten older, I've learned how to use these tools everywhere much better. And yeah, that's kind of how I learned about all this.
Yeah.
Getting out of my shell.
Was there something that I missed? Was there anything you wanted to talk about?
I think the things that I think are very important right now to talk about is like, I would say that, we all need to treat each other with much more respect than we do. You know what I'm saying? Like, as humans on this, we're right now, until there's like real definitive proof that there's aliens out there, you know what I'm saying? We're like, okay, there's proof. Don't get me wrong. There's like some little things here and there, but I'm not like saying that they exist 100%. But side thing. But overall, my point is, I believe we do need to treat each other better, and I think we all need to just come to grips about who we are as people, what our values are, and we need to have an honest dialogue about that. So that way we can be better people and maybe not have to deal with that racist uncle at Thanksgiving at the end time, and maybe make that racist uncle at Thanksgiving or aunt or uncle realize, hey, you're kind of being a jerk and for no reason, and it's all
Yeah.
out of fear.
Yeah.
I think we could talk about that, especially talk about maybe Black Lives Matter, all, just as a black person, as a black man in this state, in this in the States in general. I've always felt like, I needed to work on everything I can to be able to survive in this environment. I've talked about this with other people. I've had to modify how I speak, how I approach people, because there seems to be some unnatural manufactured fear around people like me, and I've spent my entire life kind of trying to make myself as approachable as possible, without seeming threatening or whatever. But after the events of like George Floyd, I really feel like there's nothing I can do to make myself any less threatening to people. And I've kind of, for me, I've had enough. And I think that ultimately speaking, like I said, we all need to treat each other better, but particularly we need to treat Black people better.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's from the heart. That's from, how I feel about things.
A couple of the other interviews we've been doing was Corey Jones from BLM Rhode Island, PAC, and then Chastity Boswick from the Transgender Emergency Fund of Massachusetts. And I asked them, as political activists, I asked them like, okay, at this event, like we're offering petitions and we're doing calls to action. So of course people can sign petitions and stuff like that. And that's awesome. I didn't mean to sound like I was shitting on that, but like,
Right.
but what are some things, may I call you a nerd?
You can call me, I'm a nerd, geek, whatever. I've spent years kind of running away from that moniker, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. People need to be able to identify you as something else.
And see, I've been using that word to like this as a general description of like chiptune and nerd rock and all the things that people are seeing like in the showcasing today. But like as a nerd, like what is something that you recommend that people do either like shallowly like change sign petitions, or like larger like change an attitude or change realize a personality or something like that?
I think a lot of people need to start having more internal dialogues with themselves. Like, there's something that I've been told throughout my life, and that I'm pretty self reflective. I'm very introspective. I'm always looking at, okay, how could the situation be a little bit better? What can I do to make the situation better? And not everybody's in the position to go out and protest all the time. Not everybody's can donate all the time, and I get that. But I think that at the very least, everybody needs to have that inner conversation and that inner dialogue of like saying, what can I do to make things better? How can I improve things, not just for myself, but for everybody that I interact with, that I know? Am I inadvertently hurting anybody by the actions and things that I've done or I've taken? And just try to just improve yourself as a person at the very least. Of course, sign all the petitions, go out and protest as much as you can. But more importantly, we need to get our asses out there and vote. And I know that this particular year, like, the candidates are not great. I'm going to be very blunt. They are not great. But
What
I
else is
feel
new?
that, yeah, what else is new, right? I think that ultimately speaking, we need to understand, though, that there's a bigger thing at hand here. Trump, and I just read a report earlier today, and I hate dropping this man's name, but I got to. Trump went ahead and gloated about how black people didn't go out to vote.
I saw that, yeah.
The 2016 election. Now, I couldn't find the audio for some reason. Politico or whatever, they didn't post the audio up. I couldn't find it, so I could listen to it. But just reading what they wrote in the article, at the very least, hearing that man go ahead and gloat at the fact that because black people didn't go out and vote was primarily why he won, that made me definitely feel a certain way about things. And I really believe that first and foremost, he's got to go. People need to get off their asses, go and vote, register to vote by mail early if you can. And if there's no other choice, find a hazmat suit. Even my dad is like 60 years old. And he's like, Abstract, I'm going to, if I have to, I will go ahead and get me a hazmat suit. I will go to the polls in a hazmat suit, fully kitted, and I will go and vote because it is that important. And we all need to realize that, we're dealing with somebody who's an actual fascist. This dude is like saying he's the law and order president. Okay. Yeah. We've seen what law and order has gotten us up until now. I'm not saying that there's no use for cops entirely, but I do believe that they are overfunded. They have way too much power, way too much. They have just about as much kit as the damn military. That is ridiculous to me, to be honest. They're not fighting wars in foreign countries. They're here, and they're fighting against civilians. And look, say what you will, most civilians are armed with semi-automatic weapons. These guys are fully kitted out with body armor, tanks, and full automatic weapons.
Yeah.
The power disparity is pretty evident, and that's what I think needs to happen, is that people need to have conversations with themselves internally and really figure out what are they doing to make things better, and really look at themselves hard if they're making things worse. Sign petitions, all the petitions. Get the killers of Breonna Taylor wrapped up, get their asses in jail, because they're still running around free. Was it 2 of them got fired, 1 of them got put on desk duty? No changes. Yeah. Screw that. And again, go out and vote. Voting is so important. I can't stress that enough.
Okay, 2 more questions. One's easy and then one's larger. And I feel bad because that was a really perfect tie-up. But so you had said something that like really sparked my interest. You had said like you have worked on yourself to be as least threatening as possible. So I was wondering if you could just tell me a little bit about that.
Well, what's the thing that kind of comes toward most white people's message about black people all the time is like, oh, all black people are thugs. All black people like to do drugs, this, that, and the other. So I've spent the majority of my life not doing any sort of drugs. I drink here and there, but that's about it. I've tried my best to, again, when I'm talking, I'm fully enunciating things. I'm not using slang or whatever. And I've been accused of being an Oreo before, you know what I'm saying? So, those are kind of just the steps I've been taking throughout my life to just kind of make myself as least threatening as possible, to make myself sound like, oh, he sounds like a person who can actually have an intelligent conversation instead of somebody who just speak like this and whatever or whatever, what I'm saying. But even like I find that to be preposterous because there's plenty of black people that might not enunciate or speak with full dictation or candor, that are hyper intelligent individuals doing amazing things for their communities. Like Ab McCree, he's based over in Atlanta. He's a producer, hip hop producer. He's been trying to help his community forever now, and he's been trying to teach people how to get into sound design and things like that. Does he speak with like the fullest amount of candor? No, not necessarily, but that doesn't make him any less intelligent, and that's what people need to get over, in my opinion.
Dang. Okay. I have a follow-up. Okay, one quick follow-up, and then the easy question. Do you feel like if you didn't have these restrictions imposed on yourself, I hope so, like, if restrictions is the right word, like, no. What do you think you would be like without that?
It's hard to say. I mean, I wish I kind of had a DeLorean that had a flux capacitor, put it right into that thing so I could travel through time forward and backward. I talk to my dad about time travel all the time. It would, I think if I didn't have to put these like sort of cautionary restrictions, or I'd have to say code switch all the time, maybe I wouldn't feel the level of anxiety that I feel from day to day, because I'm always wondering, okay, what person in the neighborhood is looking at me right now from their window as I'm kind of just jogging, doing my little walk for exercise, thinking, and of course everybody's got a mask on, including me. I'm wondering who's looking out their window and thinking that I'm about to steal somebody's shit out of their car or whatever,
Yeah.
And then they call the cops and they say, oh, there's a suspicious looking person. And then the cops come around and they're like, oh yeah, we got reports of somebody suspicious and you fit the profile, even though they never told them what skin color they were or whatever, but they just see me and they're like, oh, black person, they must be doing it. So yeah, that's it's hard. That's a hard one to answer because I can't even imagine what I'd be like if I didn't have to do all this.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm sorry.
It's all right, man. It's life. Life is crazy. Life has no there's no script to this entirety of this existence. There's nothing here that says what is possible isn't possible and vice versa, So it is what it is. We just got to rock with what we got, right?
I hope so. Okay, last question is, if people want to learn and find you, what are some good sources for them?
Well, I'm most active on Twitter. You can find me at twitter.com/abstract_origin. I try to get Abstract the Origin, but there's some damn account that's actually got my name that's been holding on to it since like 2008.
Oh,
they have
no.
never posted anything.
Oh, no.
And I don't know how to get it outside of that. I'm not famous enough to get that username. I'm most active on there, but of course I'm on Instagram as Abstract the Origin. I have my own I'm on Bandcamp, I'm on Spotify, but if you want to interact and talk with me the most, I'm typically on Twitter.
You're the best.
Oh, no, you're the best.
Man.
You're the best, Dave. You're the best. I mean it, man. I appreciate you.
Oh, no, this is amazing. Yeah. I'm gonna edit this right now and get it ready for tomorrow, and then so I'm gonna have the video one tomorrow, and then the audio one for an upcoming episode. I think I'm gonna put out like 3 episodes all at once, and you'll be one of them, of course. And so I'll need to follow up with you. And I bought your album. Is it okay if I put it on the episode?
Yeah. Of
Oh,
course,
you're the
yeah.
best.
I have no restrictions on my music. I'm not like fucking Metallica who gets all butter. People are downloading my music on Napster.
That's a reference. That's how I know we're the same age. Is that you're dropping that reference?
Yeah, like, oh my God, like Lars Ulrich he got him and Dr. Dre. All
Yeah.
those people got bent the hell out of shape over that shit. Metallica got popular through tape sales, through tape sharing. And this is the same thing, just digital. It's like, really, dude? And years later, he's like, the only thing he regrets is putting out all the names of those people.
Yeah.
Which really, I think you should just regret everything